Hello, welcome. Welcome to this video. My name is Ajayade Damola, chartered accountant, and I'm also the principal consultant in HFL Consulting. Okay, welcome. So, what are we here to do? Okay, so we're here to look at this is more dedicated to those that are into the accounting or finance line, not generally for everybody, but you can also learn from it, but mostly is more tailored towards those in the finance or accounting line. So I think some days ago I came up with a post on LinkedIn where I was sharing. I had an experience of we had an interview with someone that was trying to get an accounting job in a particular company. So we're interviewing the person, and then it got to this point. They were asking the person, "What's your salary expectation?" And then it became this back and forth. The person was like, anything you give me is fine. I believe the organization has so. And we have to emphasize that, please, as much as the organization has a budget or this, please, what are you actually expecting based on what you think you are bringing to the table? So let's see, one, if you are within our budget, and if we can actually negotiate, if we believe what you are bringing to the table is very fine. I know the person was dancing back and forth, and it became almost some minutes. We had to get to a point where I said, okay, fine, you are saying anything is fine. What if you offer you 70,000 naira a month as salary? And it was like, but I thought you said anything is fine. What if that's our budget? So please, that's why I'm coming up with this post on how do you actually do this well. In an interview, they're asking you, how much are you expecting? How do you answer the question well to be able to one? Because see, your answer is very critical. One, you can either what underquote and get less than what, or you can overshoot and they feel like you're too expensive for them. So I'm going to look at how do we strike that balance. Okay, so let's get down to it. Okay, so let's go. All right, beautiful. So quoting the right range or figures for salary during an interview. Okay, so let's look at it together. One, the first thing or the first way you can do this well is one, carry out research. Now, let me start from this. It shows that you are very unserious when you get to an interview and you are asked what your salary expectation for a role is and you are blank. It just shows you are not prepared for the job. A person prepared for the job should have actually done research on what the right figures or range of figures should be for that particular role. So most times it doesn't speak well of you to those that interview. You just feel like this person one maybe does not know his worth or is not really serious about this job because you are not coming up with something that you expect. Even if it's beyond what the company is budgeting, they can now tell you that we are not budgeting. This is what we are budgeting. Are you comfortable? And if you are not comfortable, you can move. But it's actually wrong not to do so. The first thing you have to do is before when you get a call or an invite for an interview. In fact, some people start from the application process itself, although it depends. If you are applying to so many places, you can't be saying you want to do it. So it's better when you at least you have gotten an invite. That means they're interested in learning if you are fit for the role. So the next thing you now do is what? You carry out a research. So how do we do that? Now, research gives you a very sound basis to know how and what to charge or quote. So it gives a very strong basis. That means you can confidently say that this is what I want because you have done your research. Now, really, the more you research, the better you can get a good pay. Why not losing the opportunity? Because most times when you research well, you can actually quote a figure that is not excessive, and at the same time, you are still getting something good. Sorry, you are still getting something good home. Okay, sorry. All right. So you are still getting something good to take home at the end of the day. I'll give a practical example. I like being very practical in anything I do. Let's be practical. Let's not just talk theory. Let's look at the actual or practical things that actually happen. So now there's this particular interview I went for. That time I was quite desperate. I needed to change jobs. So I was going for a series of interviews and I was asked how much my salary expectation was. Now, because I knew that I was bringing so much value to the table, but I didn't want to overshoot. I didn't want to lose that opportunity. It looked like it was a good opportunity then. So I quoted a mid figure, at least a mid range. It was not excessive, but it was not the best I could have quoted. And they said, fine. And you know what the company did? They offered me something slightly better than that. When I got in, actually got to know that I could have gotten times two of that if I had negotiated well, if I had given it. So most times, some organizations are, which is not the best practice though, they most times they will give you, like somebody will say, how well can you negotiate? Based on your negotiating power, so what some companies use. So if you can't negotiate well, they will give you what you ask for, which is not what you actually should get. So that's why you should also carry out research. Now, you can carry out research using websites. Like the most common one you can actually find good one is what? Glassdoor. And what? You can also find it on Indeed. You can go to Glassdoor, go to Google, type in Glassdoor. Let me give a practical example. So you have applied for a financial controller job in a manufacturing company in Lagos. And then before you go for the interview, you want to find out how much should I quote, or how much should I say I'm expecting, in case they ask that question during the interview process. Okay, so what you do is this: one, go to Glassdoor. So you type, what is the salary range of a financial controller for a manufacturing company in Lagos? Now, please, I'm going to share this now. You have to be as detailed as possible when you are doing your research so you can get the accurate or a very close figure. What do I mean by that? Now, please, when you are quoting, or when you are researching, when you are searching, don't make it too general. Don't say, what is the salary of a financial controller in Nigeria? A financial controller in Nigeria can be in different industry, different locations. So you have to be as detailed and as specific as possible to get. So going to site like Glassdoor, Indoor, so I said Indoor, Indeed, we give you so many opportunities to get information about what the range. So you can actually have, for example, you will see in Glassdoor, tell you that the range of salary of a financial controller should be between normally maybe 700,000 to 1.5 million naira net pay or gross pay in what? We still look at net pay and gross pay as we move on in Lagos. So that gives you an opportunity to be able to do that. So Glassdoor offers that. Indeed, you have a lot of sites that offer that. So you can just type it on Google and salary range. It will bring all these sites, and then from there you can do your research and at least have a range in mind that this is what the market value for this role is. Then please, AI is also a very fantastic tool you can use. Whatever AI, whether it's Meta, whether it is ChatGPT, whether it's DeepSeek, just go to AI, type, I'm going for an interview. I need a range of salary figures for this particular. I'm applying for a financial analyst or a tax specialist in so in this. So please be as specific as possible to mention the industry. If you can mention the name of the company too, it's fine. You know, there are some big companies that their salary ranges are out there. Do you understand? Very big companies. Do you understand? So you can give you an example, but you don't have to mention the company if you want to keep it private. So just type the industry and the particular area it is, and you will get an answer. You can try it, and you can pause this video. Look at maybe a position you have been applying for, or you have been thinking of applying. You can just type, what's the salary range on AI? What's the salary range for a finance associate in Lagos, Nigeria? It's going to give you range. Tell you that maybe between 100 and 300K or 400K, depending on qualification and experience. So that's a very smart way of going about it. So at least before you go for an interview, you're already having a range of figures in your head that you can quote if the question pops up. Okay, then I've exercised that. Please be as specific and as detailed as possible so that I can get a figure as accurate or as close to the market value as possible. Okay, so that's one. Secondly, another very simple way of doing it is that you can use your current salary as a yardstick or basis for deciding or giving a figure. For example, now, if currently I'm earning 300,000 net pay and I want to move, I want to change job, all other things being equal. Now, I said all that things being equal because there are other reasons why people apply. Now, there are times that some people are desperate, they've lost jobs, they are really looking for a new job. This might not really work. This only works when you want to move and you're still in a comfortable place. That means you have where you are working. You are just considering moving and you are not under pressure. Now, one very simple way to quote salary expectation is to use your current salary as the base and add a premium to it. So you are earning 350. Moving, you should actually move to somewhere where you actually earn better or get better opportunities on benefits. So what do? So just say, okay, so 350. Okay, so I'm expecting maybe 500. That's 150 on top, because at least you should pay me something that will be more than what I'm currently earning. Okay, so that's that. So, and that most times too, when recruiters ask you and they know that you earn actually a particular figure and you're asking for more, if they want to pay you less, most times they would know that it's not likely for you to take it up, because nobody expects, unless there are more compelling reasons. Maybe the place you want to learn is an opportunity to learn. You can get a lot of exposure there. You are considering relocating and you don't mind even if the pay is lower. Other reasons, but like I said, all other things being equal, you should, even recruiters or HR people expect that you should get more than what you are getting in your current organization for you to move to their what organization. Okay, then now you can decide what figure or percentage depending on how much value and worth you think you have and are bringing to the what table. So please, there's no standard rate. Some people will do 50% more than what they are earning. Some people just pick a figure. I'm earning 600,000, so this place I'm expecting 800,000. That's fine. That's left to you to decide. For example, my own normal practice is that wherever I go, if I want to move to the next company, I charge double. I want to take double for time. So if I'm earning 500 now, the next position I want to earn what? A million naira net pay per month. That's me personally. That's what I do. And you know why I do that is because I'm very strategic about it. I would have planned it for, okay, so I want to use 2 or 3 or 4 years here. So I would have gotten relevant skills and experience that the next role I'm going to, I'm bringing so much value to the table that I can charge double. I know people that charge triple what they actually are currently earning because they have developed themselves and they are highly skilled. That's why that would work. Okay, all right. Let's move on. Look at the next criteria you can use to determine. One, you can also use your cost of living criteria. This is also very critical. This is another way to determine how much to quote. Now, the cost of living in a particular area or location is very important, especially in some special locations. I'll give you an example. Let me just give you like 3 popular examples in Nigeria: Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. We all know the cost of living in those areas is actually more compared to other areas. Please, this is very important, especially if you are considering relocating. Please, you have to look at the cost of living before you determine how much you are going to what you are going to charge. You don't just charge arbitrarily. Find out. So, for example, you are in Ibadan, you want to move to a job in Lagos, and then you are just saying, oh, let me just take 500k because you are earning 400k in Ibadan. The cost of living in Lagos is high. Cost of transportation, accommodation, feeding is higher compared to Ibadan. And so you shoot yourself in the leg when you get to there. You now notice that like I quoted wrongly, and what I'm taking is not even enough to take care of my basic needs. And nobody will hear stories, and then you are stuck. You are starting to find job again because you didn't do enough research. Okay, so how do you do that? How do you calculate your cost of living? Just do a rough estimate of what it will cost you to get to work. So how much will I be spending on transportation by day? I was spending 3,000 naira per day. So multiply by that the number of days you have in a week that you have to work. Multiply by that in the number of weeks you have in a month. So let's say I'm spending 150k on transportation alone in a month. Then what of cost of accommodation? So how much are houses? How much will I get a good house? Maybe close to the location. If not close to the location, you factor that into your transportation cost. Then your cost of feeding, cost of taking care of some business. So at least have a basis that, okay, so in a month, my basic expenses, cost of sending my children to school in this particular area is 600,000 naira. That means that whatever figure I'm quoting, I cannot go below maybe 700 because I should at least expect a salary that should not just take care of my basic needs. I should have something extra apart from taking care of my basic needs. So please, this cost of living is very critical, especially if you are considering changing location. You know, if you are in a particular location, you already know what the cost of living is. So you are still getting a job within that location. That's still fine. But please, if you are moving to a new location, do your research. A lot of people have entered a lot of trouble because they didn't carry out research or they just moved without finding out what it will cost. If you are moving outside the country too, that's also very critical. You want to get a job in the US or UK, and then you want to travel there and you have not found out because and when you were negotiating, I just quoted the figure. You now go there and notice that your cost of living is way higher than what you are collecting. Nobody will hear that because that's actually your fault because you didn't carry out enough research. Okay, all right. Now let's look at it now. Please, another thing to consider when you are doing this is that, especially for some very big or reputable organizations that can afford it, please ask if there are other benefits apart from your basics, from your take-home pay from salary. Now, there are some jobs that would look like the pay is much, but has a lot of other benefits that augment the pay. For example, I know jobs that will offer you accommodation, that will give you company car. So if you are getting a job like that, normally, let's say you were earning 800,000 naira and they're asking you that they will give you 1 million naira, but you get accommodation, you get a car, they'll pay your children's school fees, you get maybe life insurance, you get HMO covering you and your family members. Those are other benefits that can also come in. So when you add everything together, you notice that at times it's even more than what you are earning or what others are offering you. So please, it's very important, especially when it comes to the point where you are considering taking the offer, please ask questions like, okay, so are there other benefits that you need to what that I'm going to get apart from my take home pay, so I will know and consider if this will actually work for me or not. Okay, now knowing if some of these things are on the table also helps you effectively know what range to quote. Okay, it's also wise to consider some of these things so you don't have unrealistic what expectations. So ask, so that you don't get that you say that I thought you were going to give me an official car. Ask at the interview, they will let you know. They can be like, oh, we'll consider that. Some people will tell you that no, there's no other offer. Some people will tell you that here we don't do pension or we don't pay pension. So you already know, so that when you get in, you don't start feeling like but. So please ask as much as possible. So that's another area you can look at. Okay, now let's also look at another way. Now you can also, there are some people that know the value of the qualification, certification, and experience you have, and based on that you can actually quote a range of figures. Please, this is the toughest one in terms of practice, because not everybody can do this. And please, this one is actually applicable to top professionals. When I mean top, that means very highly skilled professionals. This is what is applicable to some of them. Now, because they have gotten some very quality certifications, experience, skills, now they know the value they bring to the table. So they can actually quote a figure. For example, you want to get a CFO role for a big company like that. So most times, of course, from the requirements, I'm sure that you have to have ACCA, ACA, have a lot of professional certifications, you have a lot of experience bringing to the table. So for organizations like that, when you are getting a very highly skilled role like that, or you apply for a highly skilled role, most times they expect that you know the worth or value of what you have. Do you understand? So some people know that based on what I can deliver, I'm not taking anything less than 2.5 or 3.5 million naira net pay per month, and that's fine. Now if you can offer that, that's fine. And some organizations will actually pay because they are highly skilled people. I know IT people too that can quote as high as that because their skills are very competitive and very scarce. So, and they have developed themselves up to that level. So there's a way you can also, based on what you have, your certifications, your experience, your qualifications, you don't have to limit yourself to a range. You can quote what you want. And because the organization really needs your services, I'm there that some of them are ready to fork out that money and pay you what you actually want. But please note, this is only applicable if you have the certifications, the qualifications, the experience, and the skills. Please, if you don't have, you don't go and be quoting. For example, you've just graduated from school. You have maybe just 1 year experience. You are still doing your ICANN. And then they're asking you how much you want to collect. You're like, I want to collect 800,000 naira because I believe nobody will take. In fact, I'm sure they will not call you back because it looks like you're just a greedy person. You are not realistic. So please, before you can do this, make sure you have what it takes. You have built that over the years, the experience, the certifications, the qualifications, the exposure, and so what you are bringing to the table is very key. So they know you are bringing quality to the table. So they are also ready to give out what quality money or take home pay. Okay. Then another very critical thing you have to pay attention to is the size and status of the what of the company. The size and status of the company. Very critical and very important. Now, the size or status of the company also matters. The bigger the company or its status, the more the pay should be. So you're applying for a job in a multinational. You can't compare what a multinational will offer you with what a local firm or a consulting firm in Lagos will offer you. Of course, there are different companies, and so because they have different capacities and the workload of responsibilities are more, the pay will actually be also more. So please consider that. Don't go and shoot yourself in the leg. You're applying to a big company, they have called you for an interview, and you're quoting a salary of what you will quote for a small company. You just shoot yourself in the leg. So please, the bigger the company, the bigger the pay should be. Okay. For example, what a multinational will pay should be higher than what a startup will pay. So please, where you're applying is also very key. Carry out research. Is this company very big? Are they quoted on the stock exchange? Do they have a very big market size? That will also allow you to know if the company can actually pay well. You also look at the investors. Who are the company investing? Are they big boys? They are big boys. This guy can really afford. So you can say, oh, this company is just starting up. It looks like they won't have so much to pay, but I can get the experience there. So let me quote this particular figure. So the size and status of the company is also very critical. Then, very importantly, the industry. Please, industry is very key. Industries are different, and the pay within different industries are different, even for the same role. For example, a CFO in manufacturing, and a CFO in let me find out, maybe in hospitality. Please, at times the pay is different. Let's look at it now. The truth is that not all industries pay the same wage, even when the jobs are actually similar or close to each other. Some industries pay higher than other industries, which is there are several reasons for that. Now, let's look at some industries that pay very high. For example, oil and gas. People will say that those that are oil and gas, they are big boys. And at times, especially for big companies in oil and gas, because one, the risk involved is higher. Their pay, their profit is higher because of the nature of the industry and all. They tend to pay more. Do you understand? Example is also tech companies. Some tech companies also pay very high. Do you understand? Okay. Then banking, telecommunications. Those are at least four common industries I know that pay higher compared to other industries. So if you're applying for a job in those industries, please, the smart thing to do is what? Is to get what? Is to charge or quote more than what you would normally quote because of the peculiarity of those industries. So you can also carry out the research on that. Go type what are the high paying or whatever industry you're applying for. Go to if it's disclosed in the some job ads, they would have disclosed the nature of the company. Some will not do that. But if you can find out when you have been getting because of course when you are given an invite call, they will tell you the name of the company or at least give you a clue of where you're applying to so you know. Do you understand? So that can also be okay. Then let's look at it. Then this is also very key. Gross or net pay. Which one should you quote? This is also something that causes a lot of confusion among some people. They don't know whether to quote gross or net. Okay. Now, actually depends on your choice, but the smart thing to do most times is to quote what? Net pay. What's gross pay? Let's just quickly look at that. Gross pay is your basic salary plus your other allowances before any deduction is made. So this is what your take home is. This is what your total salary will be before we make any deduction, both statutory and if possible non-statutory. That's what we call what gross pay. While net pay is what you actually take home at the end of the day after they have removed the payee pension, NHIS or other statutory deductions from your salary. What you actually take on, what will be paid into your bank account is net pay. Please, most times when you are quoting a figure, don't just quote I'm expecting 300 to 400,000 pay. Please quote what, whether it is gross or net. And my advice to you is to quote net most times because if you quote gross, you don't know the kind of deductions or allowance they will make. And so at the end of the day, I've seen people quote 250, 300,000 naira, expecting at the end of the month, I'll get 300 bay in my account. At the end of the month, you are seeing 250, 220,000 naira as your net pay. You're like wondering what's happening. I have budgeted based on 300,000. That means you have not actually done your research work. So quote your net pay. I'm expecting 300,000 net pay so that they know that at the end of the month, what you expect in your bank is 300k. Sham, not that you're expecting it. So it's better to actually quote net pay because that's your take home pay. They can now worry about how they want to come up with the gross pay, what are the other things. Your own is just that at the end of the day, this is what I want as my pay. Now let's come to conclusion. Okay, so knowing the right range of figure to quote can be quite tricky at times, but honestly, when you do it well, it actually helps you because most times, see, it's based on that initial question at the initial point of the interview that when it comes to offering you the job, that's what they will start using to negotiate. So you have said you want 300,000. They can some can be very funny. They can offer you, can we pay you 280 or 250? Try and even bring it down. It's only some very rare or good organizations that will even give you more than what you asked for. So your asking or what you quote initially is very critical to how much you are going to take home when you start getting offers like offer letter and you start negotiating with them. Oh, this is not enough, I want more. Do you understand? Okay, now if for any reason after going through this or after going through this video and the PDF material or the presentation, you still don't have an idea, do you understand? I will give you some general ranges that you can quote or you can work from, do you understand, based on normal general practice. So these are just averages, they are not accurate, but at least when you take an average view of maybe 10, 15, 20 job description of the similar role in different locations, this is what you have. So for edge, and please note that like I said, this is targeted more towards finance accounting professionals, not necessarily. I've not done for other. So please, if you are a professional in another field, this might not apply to you. This is strictly for finance accounting professionals. Okay, so for entry level roles, what are entry level roles? Maybe if they're asking for 0 to 3 years experience, maybe BSc, they are not asking for professional qualification. So normally range should be between 80,000 to 300,000 net pay per month. So you can quote between that if you are getting a what, if you are applying for an entry level role. So you can quote 150, 200, you can pick mid range. But like I've said, please do your research too. So these are just general figures that can guide you. So most times between 80 to 300k net pay per month. So for some very big companies, even for entry levels, they can pay as high as 300 net per month, but those are very rare. So you have ranges 150, 200 net pay. Some, do you understand? Some can even be as low as that. We'll trash that in another uh video. Okay, then mid-level roles. Okay, for mid-level roles, those are roles that most times they ask for 3 to 7 years of experience. These are an average too. It depends, but most times it falls within that range. They are called what? Mid-level roles. So most times the range is between 200,000 to 1 million naira net pay per what, per month, depending on location, industry, and a lot of other factors. So that's a particular range. Then finally, for senior level roles, CFO, financial controller, financial manager, and team leader, financial reporting specialist. So most times they ask for experience 7 years and above. Those are senior roles. Okay, then you can quote between 400. The average range is between 400,000 to as high as 4 million net pay per month. In fact, some people get higher than that, 4 million net pay per month. Although that means that you have to be a very highly skilled professional in a very big company for you to earn as much as that per month as net pay. So those are ranges that you can quote. All right, thank you.